Hello and thank you for attending my PowerPoint on Dr. Ratio, the huge gigachad.
Oh, Doctor, you're huge.
This guy is the embodiment of gigachad. Just go listen to his voice lines in game. It is wild. Also, in the second half of 1.6 to the end of 2.1, he just gave himself to everyone for free out of sheer goddamn will. He hasn't reran since. What a legend. Like, come on, how can you take this guy seriously? He has a goddamn rubber ducky in his back. In game, he does pretty good single target damage. In terms of base stats, he has the highest base attack in the game, tied with no one. His speed is the second lowest of all Hunt, only above March 7th. But it's still above average, which is crazy to think about. And really puts into perspective how goddamn fast the Hunt is. His basics are basic. They generate 1 skill point and 20 energy. His skill does damage to a single target. This costs 1 skill point and generates 30 energy. This is extremely unremarkable until you consider his talent. When using his skill, he has a 40% fixed chance of launching a follow-up attack, doing big damage to the single target. For each debuff the enemy has, this fixed chance increases by 20% up to 100% with 3 debuffs. If the enemy is defeated before the follow-up triggers, it'll be redirected to a random target. This makes up about 70% of his damage profile and generates 5 energy. His ultimate does damage to a single target and applies Wise Man's Folly to them. When other allies attack an enemy with Wise Man's Folly, he immediately launches his follow-up at them up to 2 times per ult. Wise Man's Folly does not count as a debuff and only applies to the most recent target of his ult. This costs 140 energy. So after using his technique, he creates a special dimension that taunts nearby enemies lasting for 10 seconds. After entering the battles with the enemies in the special dimension, he has a 100% base chance to reduce every single enemy's speed by 15% for 2 turns. With his A2 trace, whenever Ratio uses his skill, for every debuff on the target, he gains 2.5% crit rate and 5% crit damage for the rest of the battle. This stacks up to 6 times. His A4 trace gives his skill 100% base chance to reduce the target's effect res by 10% for 2 turns. This effect res reduction is applied after the probability check goes off. So if you use his skill on a target with 2 debuffs, the fixed chance is only 80% and not actually 100%. His A6 trace gives him 10% damage bonus when attacking an enemy with 3 or more debuffs for that attack, up to a maximum of 50% for that attack with 5 debuffs. He also gets 28% attack, 12% crit rate, and 12.5% defense from minor tracing. His E1 increases the A2 trace's stack limit by 4. At the start of the battle, he also immediately gains 4 stacks. His E2 deals additional damage equal to 20% of his attack for each debuff on the target when using his follow-up, up to 80% with 4 debuffs. His E3 gives +2 trace levels to his ult and +1 to his basics. His E4 causes his talent to additionally regenerate 15 energy for a total of 20 energy, which basically quadruples his energy generation from his talent, which is wild. His E5 gives +2 trace levels to his skill and talent, and his E6 gives Wise Man's Folly 1 extra trigger. The talent also gets 50% damage bonus.
所以他加入博士学会是为了宇宙科学的分享和奉献？
没错，要知道拉迪奥教授总共开设了52门课程。
但是他把人骂哭了。
哎呀，严师出高徒嘛，所有坚持到最后的学生都成为了某个领域的专家学者。
确实，但是他把人骂哭了。
愚钝是一种顽疾，治愈的过程当然要伴随痛苦了，所以他才叫真理医生嘛。
但是他真的把人骂哭了。
Like, this guy's voice lines like, "You look distressed. Is something troubling you? If so, you can figure it out for yourself." This guy's wild. Like, there's actually a lot of math and science references hidden in his animation and his splash art. Like, you see on the top right, that's the top right of his splash art. Those are real formulae. Like, this first one is force equals to change in momentum over change in time, which is another way of phrasing Newton's second law. The second one is integrate e to the power of x with respect to x is equal to e to the power of x plus c. That's just basic calculus. That's just integration that I learned. Which is really funny because these are the only few times that you actually see our alphabet in-game. Aside from the actual, gameplay elements. Because in the game, they had their own script that replaces the alphabet. It's really interesting. Gameplay-wise, he is the first unit to actually focus on debuffs. He still hits pretty hard in 2.6 as long as the enemy is imaginary weak. Those single targets with imaginary weak aren't exactly this MOC cycle. I mean, there is quite a bit of follow-up support right now though, so yeah. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, do like and subscribe. You might as well check out the other PowerPoints while you're watching this one if you haven't already. Alright, bye.